Welcome back to Season 5 of the Changing Earth podcast with Sara F. Hathaway, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sara F. Hathaway.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 169, Season 5, Episode 6. So there has been some crazy weather and everything seems like it's a 100-year storm. It's a 100-year storm. It's happening all the time. And I really hope that you're staying attuned to what's going on the planet. There's some severe changes going on. Earth movement. Just eyes open. You need to have your eyes open. You really need to be aware of what's going on out in our planet right now. So there's definitely changes happening, not only within the planetary being of our planet, but also within the people on top of the planet. So we have to be eyes open as far as that goes as well. You know, this whole political environment that we've been in, I hate to talk about it really on my show. I like to focus more on the earth, but this political environment that we've been in is just a little bit wacky of people, you know, not remembering their morals, not remembering their ethics, not remembering their manners, and then going out and screaming about what they want without willing to listen and to talk to other people about, you know, different options. And we're going to use the government to force it on people instead of starting a nonprofit and having a cause and attacking it that way. But, you know, we're just kind of existing and floating through it, huh? So let's just stay on top of what's going on with the changes so that we're prepared to handle them when they come. It's kind of the key, right? I want to send a shout out to all my Patreon members. Thank you so much for your guys' support and your contributions to the show to keep it going. So everybody out there who's currently not a Patreon member, I really need your support right now. I'm trying to do some creative things with my books, we'll put it that way. And, you know, everything costs money. So to get from point A to point B, you know, it all costs. And so with your support, hopefully we can see some very interesting things happen with my book series. I just want to put it there for now because I don't have any guarantees, and it's all big question mark on, you know, just how far you can go, how fast you can go. But I want you to know that I am digging hard, working on a lot of projects right now that I don't want to announce just yet. But with your contribution, I can get there a lot quicker. So please take a minute to consider heading on over to patreon.com. It's www.patreon.com/changingearth, www.patreon.com/changingearth. And I got all kinds of great bonuses over there. I'm going to be working on another addition to the Las Vegas years here really soon. I'm trying to get book 6 wrapped up with a pretty little bow first, and then I'm going to be working on that project again. So definitely a lot of great bonuses if you head on over to www.patreon.com/changingearth. Really need your support right now because I'm going to try and do some interesting things with my book series. We'll put it that way. Okay, so last week in Dark Days in Denver, Dexter and Johnny were up in the tower. This coyote comes in. They end up killing it. Dexter's like, oh man, we broke the rules. This isn't going to be cool. But it actually worked out really cool. So this week, Erica is going back to training cycle. She's just trying to keep herself busy and productive. And there's some drama that happens around the camp. I really tried, like I said earlier on prior shows, to like delve into my character development on this novel, and really bring the characters to life a lot more. So there's more drama that happens. But anyway, Erica's on this cycle to just try and be really productive while she can to get her mind off things, basically. And there are actually a lot of real life mental benefits that come along with being a productive person. So here to talk to us today about the mental benefits of being productive, are Dale and Lisa Goodwin from the Survivalist Prepper. And Dale and Lisa are some of my best friends that I've met through my podcasting experience. And, I say like friends because they're just family now. And I really love having Dale and Lisa on the show. Every time I get to see them, it's just a great experience, and I highly cherished. So definitely a highlight of my little Sara world over here, I guess. And so we're going to have them on the show later to talk about the mental benefits of being productive. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into Chapter 6 of Dark Days in Denver. Chapter 6. After Erica walked Vince home, she and Victoria headed back to the training compound. Karen, I heard you were at the Las Vegas facility for 9 years. How did you dodge the adoption process? Victoria wondered. It wasn't too hard. We'd been a thorn in their side since day one. Useful, but not compliant. None of the landowners wanted people who made it clear they didn't have an interest in leaving. You missed a lot, Erica admitted to Victoria. What happened to you? It's a time of my life I don't like to talk about. I have 2 beautiful boys from the experience. I found a wonderful man, and I fight against the system that gave me those memories. Victoria's voice quivered with mixed emotions. I cheered for you when word went around about the riot in the Las Vegas camp. I knew it was my old friends raising hell. Yeah, Erica admitted, chuckling. We waited as long as we could, but when the infertility law was passed, that was the last straw. They were coming to perform the procedure on Star. Daniel was old enough to survive without me. So I fought alongside with Vince, Greg, and the whole crew. The rebellion was utterly squashed. I ended up in a metal prison facility that they created to house unruly refugees. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, Karen. I don't. One day you should, Erica told her. It helps. You want to know the most ironic part? What's that? When I was in that box, there was a soldier that talked to me every day. It's the same soldier that we are going to train with now, Erica informed her. What? Seriously? She wondered how Erica could look him in the eyes. Yes, indeed. The Lord works in mysterious ways, Victoria. Long story short, he changed me and I changed him. He's been looking out for me and my family for a long time, Erica explained. The clouds rolled in and the first few drops of rain started hitting the ground as Erica and Victoria entered the main building. They headed towards the weight room in the back. Bennett was already there waiting for her. How's it going, Hopscotch? He beamed, watching her enter. What's up, Sergeant Bennett? I didn't think you could use nicknames with a superior officer, she boasted. We're not on duty, Short Stack, and you just got that rank to keep your butt safe, he defended. Changing the subject, he asked, Who's your friend? This is Staff Sergeant Victoria Gleason, my own personal bodyguard, Erica replied. Nice to meet you, Staff Sergeant, Bennett greeted her. Nice to meet you as well, Sergeant, Victoria returned the gesture. So let me get this straight, Cupcake, Bennett said, turning to face Erica. You let Lieutenant General Merkley give you an escort. Just like that. How long did I try to tell you that you needed an escort? He made sense, Bennett. We're on the same side, Erica told him. Bennett remarked. Never thought I'd see the day. What? Erica wondered. I need to be safe, she replied, making quotation marks in the air. And kept under control. I gotta tell you, I just earned an even deeper respect for Lieutenant General Merkley, he boasted, pointing at her. Then he turned and started walking away. Whatever, just zip it, Erica told him, shaking her head at his antics. Where are you going, Bennett? I thought we were going to do legs today. I thought we might get into the ring, Bennett commented, heading towards a cage in the corner. I'm not even warmed up, Erica countered. What are you scared of, Hopscotch? Bennett asked, egging her on. Get warmed up. Victoria smirked a little at Bennett's comment and wondered how this fight would go. This Sergeant Bennett was a beast of a man, but not so bulky that he lost agility. He looked like he could move quickly and fight intelligently. Erica was only 5 feet tall, but she was quick and used her opponent's momentum to her advantage. Erica took off her camouflage jacket. Victoria was surprised by the number of new scars on Erica's body. She remembered that her skin was melted by toxic water. Now her wrists had deep scars from being tied together. Her tricep displayed a new-looking scar that went straight across it. and her face showed signs of recent healing as well. Erica was an inspiration to Victoria. Her spirit was intoxicating. Sergeant Bennett stood waiting in the ring, bouncing from side to side to stay limber. "You all set, Buttercup?" he teased. His nicknames always got under Erica's skin, and he knew it. "I'm going to kick your butt, Bennett," Erica stated, stepping into the ring and closing the door. Victoria stood watching the two square off in the ring. Erica eyed him carefully, thinking he would be expecting an attack. He smirked at her and swung his hand to punch. She went to block her head, but he kicked out her legs instead. Erica hit the mat with a thump. Bouncing back to her feet, she calmed herself. It was against her normal pattern. Usually her anger would have caused her to lash out. Patiently, she waited. Bennett threw a kick and she bobbed to avoid it, but Bennett waited with a knife hand strike. Erica saw his hand out of the corner of her eye and dodged again. Bennett's attack left him vulnerable, and Erica landed a flying elbow strike across his head. "Nice, Karen," he teased, smiling at her. He was trying to take her mind off her game. Erica wasn't going for it. She calmed her mind again and bobbed around his punches. As she weaved, he caught her by the back of the neck and spun her around in a bear hug. Erica exhaled the air out of her lungs as he squeezed her tighter. She threw her legs high into the air and rapidly sent them towards the ground, throwing Bennett off balance. When her feet hit the ground, she flipped Bennett over her back. He fell with a crash onto the mat. "Very nice, woman. You're on fire today. Let's just practice counterattacks from the mat for the rest of the afternoon. Your head is solid." Rarely did Bennett hand out such praise. Erica almost didn't know what to do with herself. "Thank you," she told him sincerely. "You're doing good, Cupcake. We've got a few months to hold out here before we go north. Cole told me Greg and Penny are safe and headed this way. Take time to enjoy your family. Stay sharp, but try to relax a little. Who knows what life's going to dish out next. But for now, we're good," Bennett told her. Erica felt strangely relieved. They finished their workout and then went out into the evening sun. Erica could see Star's golden hair as the rays shone through behind her. She was standing at the gate with Vince, waiting for Erica. "You'll definitely have to finish that story about Bennett later," Victoria teased Erica. "I told you he was one of a kind," Erica chuckled. "How'd it go, baby?" Vince asked as they approached. "Ring time," she responded. "No bruises?" he questioned. "Probably on my ankles, but Bennett said I was on point and doing well," Erica told him. "Really?" Vince wondered. "Staff Sergeant Case," Victoria addressed Erica. "This is my replacement for the evening, Sergeant Hensley." "Ma'am," the sergeant addressed her. He looked to be about the same age as Erica. His build was average, but it looked like he had been through some tough battles. "Sergeant Hensley, have you eaten yet?" Erica asked cheerfully. "Yes, ma'am," he responded. "Well, that's the direction we're headed," Erica said, rolling her eyes at Vince and Star. "Hi, Jen, how was your day?" Erica asked, stepping over next to Star and putting one arm around her daughter's waist. "You know what, Mom?" Star asked. "What?" Erica responded. "It was pretty good. There was plenty of work to be done and not enough hands to do it. Kept me busy all day," she explained as they smelt the cool freshness of the river under the bridge. "The gal that's in charge is a real sweetheart. Her name is Dixie. I guess she's from the South. Let me tell you, she sure knows a thing or two about hospitality. With the limited supplies they have coming in here, she knows how to put it all to use. She can cook, too. Taught me some great new tips today." "That sounds awesome, hon," Erica replied. "Yeah, it might not be so bad here. I wish Roxy would have made it, though. We were planning on making some awesomely hot leather armor before we had to leave," Star commented. "Really? You in fashion?" Erica chuckled. "Roxy said she would make it look tough and sexy," Star explained. "You're going to have to wear a vest during battles. When do you plan on wearing this new getup?" Erica wondered, watching Vince trying to bite his tongue. "It's for hunting and when we're on the move," Star responded. "You need to look hot doing that?" Vince wondered. "I am single, Dad," she reminded him, fluffing a clump of hair behind her ear. "Yeah, I noticed," Vince mumbled. "Are you going over to the gym tonight?" Erica asked. "Yes, Mom, I'll go get my training in," Star replied. Erica's family encourages her to go into town, and enjoy an evening out on the town. Erica's not too sure about this. She prefers to just train and be productive, and she doesn't want to go out and kick her heels up at all. So we'll have to see how that works out. But here today to talk to us about the mental benefits of being productive are Dale and Lisa Goodwin. Dale and Lisa Goodwin are the producers of The Survivalist Prepper. They've been on my show season 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In early 2013, Lisa and Dale decided to create survivalistprepper.net and become a bigger part of the preparedness community. They're not the overboard tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. They're just like you and me, everyday Americans that enjoy the freedoms that this country offers. Lisa is more of the prepper and Dale's more of the survivalist or outdoor type, and they write articles ranging from first aid to food storage to primitive and wilderness skills, basically anything that involves preparedness and survival. So they've got some really cool programs over there. You should definitely head on over and check them out, and that is at www.survivalistprepper.net. That's www.survivalistprepper.net. So let's go ahead and welcome Dale and Lisa to the show. Today, we are having a lot of fun because we have Dale and Lisa Goodwin back on the show today, and I've suddenly developed a stutter. So, hi guys, how's it going?
Very good, very good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I think maybe that stutter was contagious from the last episode we did on your guys's. You had the the Porky Pig going, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I cut that out so nobody knew that happened until now.
They do. Oh, until now, until I told the world.
Yeah. Folks.
Right on. Well, welcome back to the show, guys. You really don't need any introduction on the show, but why don't we go ahead and just let people know about Survivalist Prepper and kicking butt over there real quick, and then we'll just jump right into what's going on the Changing Earth podcast today.
Yeah, we do the Survivalist Prepper podcast together, as most people probably know. Run the Survivalist Prepper website. Also have the Survivalist Prepper Academy for anybody that's just getting into preparedness, or anybody who wants to help support us. Good way to do that, but it's got a lot of information, some basic preparedness stuff. And I also teamed up with Brian Duff and Ryan Mitchell and to do the Preparedness Experience website and conference. We do Sunday live videos every Sunday night, just talk about prepping stuff and all that. So a lot of stuff going on, but it's fun, good times. I could be doing something else I did enjoy, so can't complain about the workload.
And we get tinfoil hat time too.
Talk about aliens. Whoever would have thought you could talk about aliens when you're talking about preparedness.
Preppers. Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Put on our big tinfoil hats, and I love the tinfoil hat time though. So when you guys do the Sunday videos, are you guys doing that on Facebook or are you doing that on YouTube?
We used to do it on Facebook. We're doing it on YouTube now. Just because Facebook is, they're just they are what they are, and they're kind of becoming a joke these days. So
fair enough.
You basically have to pay for anybody to know that you're on there. So
yeah. And what's the YouTube channel? The Preparedness Experience channel, right?
Yeah, if you just go to YouTube and type in the Preparedness Experience, it should come up.
Perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and share that in case anybody was looking for where that is actually happening, including myself.
And those are just good times, fun, and we have guests on. You're welcome to be a guest anytime you want.
That would be
great. Hey, I got a new book out.
Yeah, you do.
But there's nothing real structured about it. We just joke around, have fun. People ask questions, and then we also turn that into a podcast later on. So, but yeah, it's fun. Anytime you get a chance, let us know.
Lisa, you have the Budget Equestrian going on, correct, as a podcast as well. So anybody with horses and stuff.
Yes, it's fun. And I just sit and talk by myself a lot of times about, what it's like to have horses at home, and not necessarily preparedness related, but it's something that I'm passionate about. So I decided, well, if Dale can do a podcast, I can do a podcast.
It's actually pretty cool. I'm not into horses or anything, but it's actually, if I were, it'd be something I would listen to.
Right, exactly. And, a lot of times, a lot of us have horses. It's a kind of a homesteading activity as well, to have your animals. And, you could have the dream of having them all plow, raise, everything.
Yeah,
But, yeah, most of them are just big dogs out there in the pasture, but,
Yeah. If
So,
you can get on
excellent.
the back and ride them, dogs get a little bit pissy about that.
Yeah, they can get a little angry. Their hips don't really like that a whole lot.
Once
So
you get
today,
to a certain age anyway. I used to when I was a kid. It was fun.
Yeah.
But once you get like 18, 19 years old, it's just not cool anymore.
yeah, it's not cool.
Anyway, sorry.
We could put a dog bone on the stick out in front of the dog, honestly.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so today we are talking about just they're spending some restful days. They're training because that's, of course, to me, that's resting is just training instead of actually competing or using the skills. So, and just maintaining relationships, and that's something that I wanted to go into my book a lot about this time around, because relationships are just like a vehicle. They have to be constantly maintained. You need to put oil into that machine and really keep those characters alive for the readers. But also in a real life situation, we need to maintain these relationships. And one of the ways that relationships are actually a lot healthier is when you are productive individuals, you're part of society and things like that. So I wanted to take a look at some of the mental benefits of productivity, because people nowadays, sometimes they think, well, I want to be lazy. My life would be much better if I was just doing nothing all the time. And maybe that's true for some people. But, personally, I disagree. I'm kind of a busybody. So I wanted to have you guys on and kind of just roll this topic around a little bit.
Yeah, it's an important subject, but it's interesting as well. Yeah, because it's each person is different. Like you were just talking about, Lisa will talk about being lazy. I need to just sit down on my butt, and it sounds all good for about 2.5 minutes until she can't do it anymore. She's got to get up and do something. Me, I have no problem sitting on my butt. So it really, there's different motivations and different, everybody, needs pushes here and there or they don't. Everybody's different, basically.
Right. I agree. I think that, I just got done competing at a competition, and you go out there for 2 minutes and then you're sitting around for, hours. And I'm like, I get so frustrated. I can't sit around and be still that long. I need to be doing stuff. It's very challenging. So I'm with Lisa on that one.
In a group, those are the good people, the people that you don't have to worry about too much to have. Whereas people that you have to constantly give attention to and try to get them moving, and they're the people that can cause whoever the leader is or the organizers, they can cause them headaches.
Yeah, a lot of headaches. Right. I managed 30 kids at a Jamba Juice.
Wow.
That's a lot of headaches.
See, I'm not like I am the guy. I know how to sit and I know how to be lazy. I'm real good at it. But at the same time, I'm not that guy that you can't get off his butt to do anything.
Right.
I will when necessary. I know when it's, when I'm being a heel and when I'm not.
Yeah, you've made your own bow. So in my opinion, that's pretty,
yeah.
That takes a lot effort. And it's just a hobby project, so it's things like that to me that let you go, no, this person actually does, you're not as lazy as you think, Dale.
Yeah, well, when push comes to shove or whatever, something needs to be done, it just needs to be done. So,
right.
And that's especially true in a survival situation.
Well, let's just get right into it. Why is it not always a good idea to be spending your time just being lazy, being the kickback person?
Do you want to start with this one or you want me to?
Sure, I'd love to.
Go for it.
So I think it's, this time of year, it's always, everything's winding down as far as summertime goes. So most of us, if you're doing any type of preparedness, you are working your tail off because you need to get all of the stuff done. You need to get things picked out of your garden. You need to get the food processed. I mean, there's a time frame and a time limit on everything that we're doing. But right. When we get into the winter time, that's kind of more of a downtime. And I know this from my own personal experience. It's a lot easier to come inside and be like, well, I'll just watch TV for a little bit. Well, and that little bit turns into all night. So then I get in that habit of not doing quite as much. And that's fine, once in a while. But when you establish that habit of you're not doing a whole lot, it makes it really hard and more challenging when springtime comes around and you've got to get out there and get busy again. It really makes it hard to, put in that extra effort. Now, once you start
getting that freight train moving again, huh?
Yeah. And once you start that freight train moving, it's a little bit easier to keep up the momentum. So if everybody needs downtime. Everybody needs to totally unwind, take their mind off of whatever it is that they're, focusing on and working on, and maybe take an afternoon or take the day off. That's okay. That's,
really? That's
yeah,
okay?
It's okay. Once in a while, it is okay. And I've been known, I don't know, probably once every 4 or 5 months, I'll just sit down in front of the TV and just like on a Saturday, and I don't get anything accomplished. I'm sitting there just, zoned out, watching TV, not really doing anything. That will typically tide me over for about 4 months.
Yeah, it surprises me every time you do that, because I look back at the day and it's like, holy crap, you've been sitting down all day. This like never happens. Good for you, Lisa.
But
yeah, I think it's one of those, like, when it's really rainy outside, right? For us, that's our bad weather. We don't get snow. It's like when it's just pouring, sheeting rain going across, and you're just like, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to work. It's kind of chilly all over the house. That's bad enough. I got to get up to get the firewood,
Yeah, and it's hard because when if you do that and you enjoy it, you got to be careful not to do it for too many consecutive days in a row. Otherwise, you will find that it's pretty easy to sit down and plan what you're going to do, but then you don't really get anything accomplished.
Yeah, you get used to that, or people can get used to that. I mean, downtime is super important because you get stressed out. People need to be able to relax. You want them performing at peak optimal performance or whatever. So you want to give them that downtime and let them do that stuff, but you don't want it to be, and this is kind of what I was talking about earlier with different people. You don't want it to become like contagious or become a habit. Like every day they're like, hey man, I usually do this at this time, or, I don't feel like get that dude to do this or get that dude to do this.
Uh-huh.
So it becomes that kind of, pattern. And for some people, it's easy to get them out of that. All you got to do is say, hey, get up. I need your help doing this. Okay, no problem. Other people, it's kind of like, oh man, here we go again.
Seriously. Then they get all pissy about it. And you're like, dude, come on.
Yeah. And the dangers of that is it makes them complacent. And if you're in some sort of situations like the ones in your books or any sort of survival situation, if they're, being all lumpy and just moping around and not paying attention to anything, if something happens, and they need to be up at a moment's notice, I mean, how is that going to go? So that puts the rest of the group at risk.
Even just a natural disaster situation, it's harder for them to rapidly adapt to the new situation as it's progressing, because it's breaking their normal patterns so hard. It can be such a mental bleh, right? That it can be harder to adapt and just do what's necessary when a natural disaster is happening.
Yeah, and you don't have the time for you to be like, all right, hang on a minute. Let me think about this. What do I need to do here? And then all of a sudden a tornado or something, an earthquake ripped through your house.
Yep.
You're toast.
The wildfire is now suddenly at your door and you didn't have time to get out. I mean, it happens up here a lot.
Yeah.
Your Doritos and bonbons are all over the place.
Yeah, they're fried, man. Like,
what are you going to do?
Who knows where the couch cushions are? Wait.
Wow, but they got snacks for later stuck in their rolls, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's mental benefits to being productive. It's just science. We got to face it. Everybody who is going out there right now, like, oh, what are they talking about? I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to stay lazy. Well, guess what? There are mental benefits to being productive. So let's talk about what some of those are.
Well, I think, and I'll let Lisa expand on this, but I think probably with the way you two are, if it's almost if you don't do something, then you feel like you've just wasted the day. You didn't do this. You kind of get down on yourself. But if you do, and if you do something, it's kind of that sense of accomplishment where you've got this. Lisa loves to have her little list and check everything off, even though there's 400 more items that need to be on the list.
Right.
But am I right? Is that what, like mentally, if you kind of give yourself a grade at the end of the day, basically?
Well, not only do you give yourself a grade, or myself personally give myself a grade, because if I can get everything checked off on my list, I'm super excited. but there's actually a physical component that goes along with that. And that is when you accomplish something or, you achieve something that you've been working toward, your body, and well, your brain more so than your body, but your brain actually releases a chemical. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this chemical. It's called dopamine. And dopamine is a very, very powerful chemical that almost gives you like a high. So when you have set out to accomplish a goal or a project or something, and then you get it done and you kind of look back and you reflect and you're like, wow, I did that. This is awesome. Well, your brain is kind of giving you an attaboy as well. And it's giving you a little push or a little rush of dopamine.
So you get high from
You
doing
do.
stuff?
I was gonna say we're dopamine addicts.
We are totally dopamine addicts. And
Yeah.
they've even done studies that have proven, and this is why so many of us are like attached to our phones and, social media and games, because every time you accomplish something in those games or you receive some sort of recognition for what you've done, you get a dopamine release. So we are all dopamine addicts.
Just gotta get your fix. There's something to be said too about the learning aspect of it, because regardless of what you're doing, if you're doing it on a regular basis, even if it's just the minute little tiny details, we're constantly learning stuff. And in a survival group or anything like that, if we're being proactive and we're working on stuff, we're going to understand the whole situation better than if, we're sitting on the couch, or maybe we're sitting on the ground playing with a stick in the dirt or whatever, and, letting everybody else do all the work. We're going to understand all of that stuff better. So there's a lot to be said about the mental side of it with the learning. And even if it's just something stupid and small, or practicing, doing the stuff over and over. So, there's that.
Yeah, I'm definitely an addict to that too. I love to learn. It's why I do what I do. Writing my books and doing all the research and having my podcast, and that is just, loving to learn. And so I definitely agree with that part of it as too.
The one thing about that too is, we never stop learning. And basically if you're learning, you're living. So the moment that you think that there's nothing else that you can possibly learn, you basically stop living, because
you're
day
dumb.
learn. Yeah. Well, especially like if we were any of the characters in your books, if we, just said that we're done, we're not learning, well, we're not going to be around very long.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And like I was talking about earlier too, everybody's different. So there are people like you, there are people like me. You can look at like the people you work with or whatever, and you can kind of figure out who the go-getters are, who the people that are going to be there when you need them, who the people that you're just going to have to keep pushing. So as a leader of a group or part of the management of the group or anything like that, you're going to have to treat everybody different. Some people are just going to need to be pushed more often, because that you gave them 1 second and they're back on their butt. Where some people, all you need to do is just give them instruction and they're going. And some people do too much. You have to make sure you have to watch them so they don't, screw something up, being all hyper gung ho, and then, check this out. I built this and I built this. It's like, well, I was going to use that wood for something else, buddy. But, A for effort, I suppose. But yeah, everybody's different.
Yep. Yeah, and that'll be the challenge as a leader. One of the things we learn about in martial arts instruction is knowing people's personality types. So it's exactly what you're talking about. As far as everybody is different, and so what is their core drive? What makes them tick? What does that look like? How does it present itself, so that you know how to instruct that person, and also what their withdraw aspects look like when they're not having fun, when they're not doing well. You learn what those traits look like as well, so that you can go in and help teach them in a different way to really help them excel and do better and make them better versions of themselves today than they were yesterday. It's really cool stuff.
And we talk about that with kids all the time too, how you speak to their personality. So some people are going to react differently to different stimuli. So if somebody needs to get yelled at and get told what to do, then that's what that person needs. For some people, you do that and it totally shuts them down. So it really depends on knowing people's personalities and how to read people and how to, react to people is all good stuff to have, especially when you think about an SHTF scenario when you don't know what you're going to come into contact with or who you're going to come into contact with.
Right.
They have some really cool personality tests too.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last one that I did, I can't remember, Briggs-Meyer, I don't know which one it was, but I discovered that I'm an analytical driver. So I like to analyze everything, and my secondary characteristic is that I'm the driver. I'm the one that has to take charge.
Right.
That makes sense.
Dale's the driver all the way. He has to take charge.
Yeah, I'm the all or nothing personality. It's either I'm sitting on my butt or I'm going full bore for 6-8 hours in a row until I basically just wear myself out. That's kind of my
I'm
thing.
just the all personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think you're a driver too, Sarah.
I just go till I sleep.
You go, and I think that's a pretty good characteristic for a leader. But they have
it's like sleep gets in the way of your going.
of everything.
No. I value my sleep very much. Yeah, it's just like shutdown time, Boom. I got to have at least 8 hours or else I'm just really not a nice person. So, my boys call me the devil lady in the morning if I don't get enough sleep. So
you really are the Tasmanian devil.
It's true. I just keep going till I crash. I have to crash for the right amount of time or else I don't recharge the batteries enough to keep going again. And that really gets me angry. So
good thing. Let's not make Sarah angry, Dale.
We don't ever get to see the dark side of Sarah.
We don't want to see the dark side of Sarah.
Yeah.
Catch these little glimpses here and there. We'll ask our kids, what do you really think about your mom? I won't tell her. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. I'm only recording right now.
Right?
Yeah. No. I'm all over that. That was martial arts containment, right? It taught me how to harness a lot of the negative energies.
That's
why.
awesome.
Yeah, that's why I believe in it so much. So
it's like Sarah Yoga Karma or whatever it is.
Pretty much.
Meditation.
Yeah, people are like, oh, you have to learn to meditate. I'm like, I go and hit a heavy bag. That's what I do. Meditate.
Meditation. Hey, but see, that's cool because then we know just by paying attention and listening to what you're saying, we know how to help Sarah and we know how to motivate Sarah and we know when to leave Sarah alone go punch in her bags.
Yep. Yeah, it happens sometimes. So I'll even get home from martial arts class and still go hit the bag for an hour.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Right? Exactly. Got to deal with that. I don't think people deal with it enough nowadays, honestly. They try to hide from it, bottle it, and not just handle it. So.
Well, and it's hard because, like, if you think back when we were kids, probably not you, Sarah, because you're pretty young, but when Dale and I were kids, the internet wasn't around yet. So when we would come home from
Phones
school,
had cords.
Yeah, I was young then too.
There's no social media. So when we left school and we weren't, plugged in, we had downtime at home. Nowadays, everybody is connected 24/7. Social media is 24/7. So, if people are getting bullied and stuff at school or at their job, they come home and they think they're going to have a safe place but then they get on the internet and they're getting bullied all over again. So there's no downtime. So even though we don't want to be lazy, sometimes having some downtime is not such a bad thing. And that means like unplugging from all of this.
There is downtime, but nobody gives themselves that downtime because you can't have a free second. You've got your phone in your hand. You've got the TV on. You've got this. You've got that. So there could be, but nobody gives themselves that because, why sit and do nothing? Let me check my Twitter. Let me check my Facebook or, let me.
Yeah, I try to do that. When we do Airsoft Saturday, I put my phone down and try to do Survival Saturday,
Yeah.
And I just leave it. Everybody's like, dude, I was trying to call you. I'm like, I don't care. Saturday.
Yeah.
The plans are made beforehand, and if you want to screw with the plans on that day, don't expect to get a hold of me about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, yeah, because you have to unplug. You have to. And for my business, it means a lot for me to be on the internet and be able to connect with my fans and things like that. It brings a lot to my heart too, to be able to spread the light to people out there, and keep driving them forward on staying active and stuff like that when it's so easy to just not. You know, so that means a lot to me, but I also need to unplug and walk away from it sometimes too, because I'm just like, every time I put my phone down, bling, 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 I'm like, okay, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to relax, or you're just going to burn out, and then you're just not going to care about it at all. And you know, that goes with not just what we do, but with everybody. If you're working too hard on one thing, you're just going to burn out, and then you're going to forget about it and say, okay, I'm over this. This is, you know, whatever it is you're doing. You're like, I'm just going to give it a break, and that you give it a couple of days, and that couple of days turns into a couple of weeks, and that couple of weeks turns into a couple of months. And then your wife goes out in the garage or whatever and says, are you ever going to finish this?
Right?
Oh, yeah, that's still out there.
Oh yeah, we were going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, also the responsibility of being a contributor can really help an individual. And, you know, that's really evident in children if you've worked with children. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well.
You know, it's kind of funny because when I think of like if there was a group that I was a leader or one of the higher ups in, right, some sort of survival group, prepper group, one of the kind of groups in your books, it would be, I would probably look for people like you and Lisa to kind of be the management team or the people that helped execute the stuff that I needed to get done, the people to go get the dude off his butt and help him have to be productive or anything. So
that's cool. I'm happy to be your second in command. I don't want to be the leader. I don't want to be the boss. You just tell me what to do, what you need done, and I'll do it.
Right. That's pretty much where I'm at too. I don't like being like the top dog, but I can help make things happen, you know.
Yeah. I think it's easier being the top dog because you really don't have to, you know, it's not like you got to fire people or it's not like you got to do that. You delegate that to Lisa and Sarah to go do that for you because you got.
Oh, I see.
That's what's so cool because then you can be in that leader position and then we'll be your second lieutenant.
That's true. And then you can be like, dude, I didn't want to do this. Dale's totally making me do this. So,
it's all Dale.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't care. They can come talk to me if they want, and I was
right. That's pretty much. So you can just shuffle the blame around. It's pretty much what they do in politics all the time. I mean,
exactly.
But that's what is so cool about knowing how to, you know, read people and learn their personalities because then you know that there's people like Dale who he's going to be in charge and that's fine. And then you have people like you, Sarah, and myself that we're happy to carry out the orders and do what we're told, but we're also going to be looking how can we develop other people as well.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned kids, and it's not only just for kids, it's important for kids, but other people too, because people want to feel involved. They want to feel like they're part of the bigger picture, the whole process and stuff. So some people, they won't say anything. They won't, you know, outright say, hey, what do you want me to do? So, but they'll feel like they're being neglected or whatever if you don't include them in the process. And kids are notorious for this because they'll just sit in the corner, you know, thinking inside their little heads about a million things. And parents, we have so much going on, we kind of ignore them. But when you include them in something, it's like, okay, now I'm part of this. You know, I did this, I did that. And the same thing with a group. If you include them in it, they feel more involved, more part of the group. Whereas if you exclude them, it has that negative effect of, you know, why am I even here type thing, depending on the situation. But it makes sense.
It's true. Yeah. It does. Yeah. Everybody wants to be, and that's the draw of social media too. You know, everybody's like, oh, well, I can put my voice out to really make a difference. Well, it doesn't really. You'd be better off like looking into your own local government and your actual community, you know. You can probably make more of a difference there in reality. So. That's
the problem with social media is everybody's got opinion and they're all usually wrong. Everybody's so damn convinced that they're absolutely 100% right. They're not listening to anybody else. And it's, you know, behind a keyboard, you can say whatever you want. So people just, it's insane.
Opinions are like backsides. Everybody's got them and they all stink.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's starting to drive me nuts, the whole, and you know, we have to be kind of on social media and I used to enjoy some of it, but these days, my goodness, it's just getting to the point where it's not like it used to be. And it's that some of the companies are getting to the point where they're, you know, censoring this and censoring that. And you know what?
You don't want to support
companies. Yeah, they can do whatever they want. I'm totally with that, but I just don't want to be there if they're going to be
I don't have to support them. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm trying to pull away from some of them and things like that. And I basically just use social media as like a contact point. So, you know, people can contact me via my website. People can contact me via Facebook. However, besides like my personal activities and then trying to just spread the preparedness message so that people know how to be prepared, I'm not there. You know, I don't engage in political discourse there. I hardly, you know, honestly, I hardly scroll through to see what's going on. I'd rather just be spending my time elsewhere. And if somebody has something they want to talk to me about, then they can go ahead and contact me that way. And lots of people do that. But, yeah, otherwise I'm not going to be like, oh, what's going on with so-and-so's life? I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't really care, you know, unless you bring an issue to me and you want some kind of question answered. Cause I'm working on stuff and, you know, I got your back if you need it, but if you don't need it, cool. Let's just travel together, you know?
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to what Lisa was talking about earlier was, you know, get off of your cell phone, off of this stuff.
Yeah.
Go do something, get up, go outside, do something, and do all it, you know, in a group, the reason why this is important in some sort of group setting or whatever, because it also keeps people, not just makes them feel like they're part of the situation, but it keeps them engaged and it keeps them kind of up to date with what's going on. So if something were to happen, say there was some sort of disaster or some sort of emergency, they're not going to be caught off guard, you know, like the dude playing with the stick in the sand. They're going to know what the certain preparations that have been taking place over the last few weeks, or they know what the different drills are because they've been actively involved in it. They're going to be more helpful in that, you know, spur of the moment, emergency time type situation than the guy going, okay, now what are we doing? Okay.
Right. Yeah,
Looks like you're all freaking
difference
out. Why are you freaking out?
Well, and even like with what you do, Sarah, with your Airsoft Saturdays, I mean, that's a group getting together and, you know, you're making like a tactical little group that, yes, what you're doing right now is fun, but it also has practical applications, you know, if something catastrophic were to happen later on.
Right, yeah, and that's why I try to blend in, you know, some survival activities we work on. We butcher animals, so, you know, if that needs to be done, take care of firewood, you know, I got a great set of friends, so we just all share, you know, I'll give them a duck or two, share some firewood, stuff like that, and everybody's really, it's awesome. They'll just pitch in and everybody gets it done, and we learn a lot of stuff along the way, too, and teach them shelter building and those
are the best type of people to have in your group, and those people end up being like your extended family.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
You know, if everybody works together, then you
know all the drama that we had when we came out to your guys' place, you know.
Right.
And in the end, who could I count on? It was, you know, basically my survival group, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but those are you know, relationships and, you know, that's a team that you've developed over time. And yes, it's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. And the more you work together, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. Another benefit of having a group that, you know, that isn't just kind of stagnant or complacent, that's a group that's doing stuff, whether it's fortifying, whether it's just training, I mean, if there's nothing to do, there's always something to do.
There's always something to do.
Another positive aspect of that is that community that builds because of that, the camaraderie and all of that. If people are constantly working together, they're teaching each other things, they're training, they're building relationships. They're basically it would almost be like cliques where you've got the people that are sitting on their butts not doing anything, and we're over here, you know, doing all of our stuff. So they form as well, but I guess that's personal choice, but yeah, it helps. It builds relationships and stuff like that, and it keeps everybody's mind on the important things. Because what is that saying about the devil's workshop is idle hands or the devil's workshop?
Idle hands are the devil's playground.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I was saying in the beginning, relationships are like vehicles. You have to put oil in them. You have to maintain those things. You have to make sure all the gears are working right, you know, and that takes time, and it actually takes effort on the part of each individual involved in that group or in that relationship, you know. So if you have one person who's just counting on everybody else to put the oil in, and they're just kind of sitting on their heels, it's going to be like, dude, we're the ones servicing the vehicle here. Where you at? Right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to, nurture those relationships and nurture that group. It's, it's real easy. It's actually easier for you to just say, it's okay. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. But to take the time and work with somebody and, really nurture that relationship, that's going to make you, and that will make that relationship stronger, and your group will be even better. So, and it's hard. You can look at it, especially like with your kids. You're trying to teach your kids, like, say, something as easy as washing dishes or doing their own laundry. It's a lot easier for you to just say, I'll just do it. It's
I just got it.
Yeah, I got it. But you're not really doing them any favors. So you really need to let them do it, have their successes and have their failures as well, so they learn from it. And I know that's easier said than done, because I've done it myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's hard. It's tough love, but it's something really important to, like, nurture your extended family.
Well, that was one of my biggest challenges as a GM, was not, because I'm kind of hands-on.
Dale likes to take over.
Well, and that's what people liked about me as a GM, because I was part of the group. But at the same time, to be, to have a good crew or, good workforce, you need to be able to rely on them to get stuff done. And the only way to do that is to allow them to do that rather than taking over. And the same thing goes for kids or even a survival group. That stuff needs to be kind of nurtured and taken care of before it matters. And with kids, before it matters means when they move out. Otherwise, they're calling mommy every day. Or, at a job or whatever, it's whenever you leave. Or in a survival group, when, something big happens, when it becomes game time, you need to make sure you can rely on those people. And the only way to do that is to make them do that rather than just taking the reins. And because when you do that, when push comes to shove, they're going to stand behind you and say, okay, now what do we do?
Now you do it.
Yeah.
You always did it before. You always took it out of my hands before. Yep.
Yeah. So can you imagine, if you have, let's say you have 25 people in your group that you nurture and you help guide them to basically be like little Sarahs. And so now instead of one,
she would be
Sarah,
like 2 feet tall if they were little Sarahs.
Yeah.
She's already little.
Thanks. You're not much taller, Dale.
Yeah,
I know.
Instead of one Sarah, then you have 25 Sarahs. So, just expanding your group that much better, I think, is a huge thing to think about.
Yeah.
It's like a little
And
ninja
also
army.
the little ninja army. It'd be
25
awesome.
little Sarahs running around.
Oh, ninja Sarahs. No, but also the difference would be you want to nurture their skills too, like let them rise on their abilities as well. Like you can learn something from everything. So I wouldn't want an army of 25 little Sarahs, right? I'd want an army of 25, different people who can kick some booty. It doesn't necessarily have to be just me.
Like you're right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you'll figure out where those people fit in too. And that's with any community, post-collapse SHTF community. You're going to need people doing a whole lot of different things. So when you figure out what they're good at, maybe you nurture that. What they're not so good at, maybe they can be taught that. But yeah, that's part of getting to know somebody, that whole learning about somebody and building those relationships and stuff. So you can figure out, instead of just, a shot in the dark, hey, I sure hope he's a good marksman, or I sure hope he knows how to, build the foundation of a house or something. I don't know.
Right.
If you know them, you're going to know this person can, this person can't. This person would be much more suited over here at this position. Have Lisa be a nurse rather than digging latrines, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put Dale over there digging latrines. He's worthless.
Know where to delegate. And that's something else I wanted to talk about. A lot of times we focus on like these hard physical skills, like, oh, you got to be a marksman, or, you got to be self-defense superwoman, or, you got to be gardener, you got to do these things. And granted, all of those things are very, very important. However, there's going to be other jobs that are really important too, that need to be filled. And I don't know if I'm the right one to fill any of those, but there's so many social aspects that we really need to think about that are going to be important aspects at that point too, in an SHTF situation that can't be overlooked at that point. So I wanted to talk about what some of those aspects are of society that'll be just as important.
Yeah, we do tend to look at the core skills and jobs that are necessary, right? We look at somebody needs to be able to garden, or we need somebody for security. We need these people for security. We need somebody to be able to garden. We need somebody to go out and forage, water collection, supplies, stuff like that, cooking. But we don't think about the other things that maybe, and some of them maybe we don't know that they're important until we know they're important. Something like, maybe clothes need to be mended because there's not going to be any Walmarts or anything like that. So somebody's going to need to know how to sew. Knitting would be a good one. A cobbler, nobody ever thinks about that because we just go to the shoe store and buy shoes. But, how many people would know? I mean, I could
How
use
to resell a shoe?
Yeah, I could use some duct tape like I used to do when I was broke.
Have you worn darn socks before?
No, I haven't.
Oh
Unless
my
I was a
God, they
young
suck
child.
so much. Yeah.
Are they uncomfortable? Like,
My mom used to darn my socks sometimes and sew the holes back together, and you just have like the seam now across like your foot, and you feel it all the time. Mm-hmm.
So maybe we could
sucks.
have somebody can knit you some new socks. brand new.
Right? Alpaca socks.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
but I mean, there are going to be
Sure.
things like that, and it depends on the situation and the group. But maybe it's somebody who knows how to make thread and stuff out of cotton and all that.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have any thread, or somebody
alpaca,
that knows.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody that knows some of these DIY things about how to take this and turn it into this, and
Even soaps and our basics, right?
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. Once
Soap
the soap
making
runs out.
Yeah, soap
Yeah.
making's a big deal. And that's fun too. It takes a
Yeah.
long time though to make a bar of soap.
Yeah.
Not something you can put together overnight. So yeah.
Well, and it's not something you can just say, grab a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
No.
And because I think, don't you need lye or something like that?
You do.
I don't know how many people have lye hanging around their house, but I would bet it's very few.
Well, you do. They do have recipes.
Unless they're making soap.
Yeah, but they do have recipes for lye-free soap as well.
Do
I've
they?
never tried one though yet.
But that is one of those things where, hey, that would be one of those, hey, I'm glad this person's around because
Right.
I just ran out of soap. Or my socks got destroyed, so I'm glad this person, even if they're, big old fat knitted socks or whatever that look like mittens on your feet. at least it's
And
something, right?
I think even the medic is going to have to kind of turn into, if you have enough of them, basically, the medic's going to have to kind of turn into make sure my people are okay as well, maybe, or like more of a spiritual leader, because, the mental aspects of what people would be dealing with and what people deal with in a natural disaster, even, nowadays, it's really important to reach out to them mentally. A lot of people are on drugs and stuff nowadays. They're not going to have access to those things, and they might not in a natural disaster setting. And so that kind of has to be taken into account for, too. And I think we kind of overlook that as we'll just be able to take everybody into our group and move on. Well, what about all the people who come home and have 6 beers nowadays, and now there's no more beer to drink? What are they going to be going through, at that point? So I'm going to do an episode on that, but I just think it's like really important to be able to mentally look somebody in the eye and go, how are you doing today?
Yeah, and that's important. And because a lot of people even, they face trauma right now on a single episode basis. Now just multiply that by your whole world has been uprooted and turned upside down. So you have, they have the 6 stages of grieving that people go through when, they find out they have a terminal illness or, when they're dying. So you can actually look at those 6 stages of grieving and you can turn that into, if someone's going through some huge catastrophe, there's a grieving process that they're going to go through. Every single one of us is going to go through a grieving process, and we're all going to go through it differently. So yeah, I think it's important to have somebody, that can help and knows how to help somebody that's going through literally a mental crisis. And there's really not a lot you can do with it. If you run out of Zoloft or, Depakote, any of those medications, you're going to have so many people on the edge. And it's you got to focus on the positivity, and you got to focus on the mental health of your group.
Yeah, and I think in any disaster type situation, the longer it goes, the less that'll be an issue because people are just going to have to either get on board or they're just not going to be able to
You're
take
going to
it.
have to buck up or shut up. I mean,
Yeah. But initially, I think that is going to be a far bigger problem than a lot of people even give it credit for because everybody's life is going to change no matter how well adjusted they are. No matter what drugs they're on or whatever. Some people may not even be on drugs right now, but when that happens, they'll be on drugs.
They'll be wishing they were.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's going to be a giant issue that nobody really thinks about. But even my family itself, that could be, even if I think I'm not going to be like that, I'm not going to go through that, I may have to because other people in my family are. So that's kind of what your initial point.
I mean, everybody's sense of normal would be eliminated.
Yeah, it's
know?
gone. You have a new normal you woke up to, you know, and how you deal with it and how you cope.
How long is that adjustment period?
That's going to make or break you.
Yeah.
And
you were
that's why we
talking
think about it ahead of time.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's why we prepare for it, or we try to.
I know there's no real good segue for this, but you guys were talking about nurses and stuff earlier, and I had a thought in my head that I want to get out before I totally lose it.
All right.
But that's with skills and stuff, with nursing and with the people that know how to knit and sew, the people that know how to garden, all that stuff. You're going to need those people to also be teachers. That is one of those, I guess, skills, I suppose, that it goes along with their original skill. But if people are able to teach other people, that's going to make your community stronger. If you're able, like Lisa, if you were able to teach people, wound care, stuff like that, it's kind of what we're doing at the conference too. Brian's doing with his hemorrhage control stuff. If you're able to teach people that stuff in the group, that lessens the burden on you, maybe opens up the door for you to be able to do different things. With gardening, if you teach people how to do the gardening, it gets them involved, like we were talking earlier. Maybe they enjoy it, and it also helps you. You're able to grow more because there's only a certain amount you can do as one person as far as how much you can grow and all that. But if you get 5, 6, 8, 10 people, you can do a lot more. With you as a nurse, there's only so much you can do. If somebody comes back, something terrible happened, 10 people come back wounded, you're going to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Then I need Dale and Sarah to help me.
Yeah,
I have to teach you guys how to plug some holes.
But you never taught us, so you're on your own.
And not only that, but skills can die.
Yeah.
If you only have one person who knows how to forge or, skills can die. So this is a big thing that it's actually something that when I was at the Taekwondo tournament this last weekend, it really hit me kind of hard is these gentlemen, went to war. They went to a different country and they're the founders of the UWTA. And they went to war and they ended up learning this martial art while they were there from the natives that lived in Korea. And so their vision was to bring this back home, and share it with the United States. And now here's all these people, thousands of people who have been affected by what they brought home, this skill they brought home and decided to teach and share to others. So now if everybody in the organization just decided, hey, we're not going to teach and share this anymore, it would just be dead. You just wouldn't know about it anymore. And so that really struck me on like a deeper level as like even applying that to survival situations. We're learning about skills they used to take for granted hundreds of years ago as something new and great. And, oh, you're a survivalist because you know about this. No, I'm learning the skill of my past forefathers and I'm trying to pass that on to the next generation so they also have that skill that we learned so long ago.
So it doesn't become lost.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That really hit me on a deeper level. And I was like, that's why all this is so important. It's so important to teach that person how to spin the yarn. It's so important to, learn how to do a fire. Or, people don't know how to do a fire, they ask me. And I'm like, it's hard to fathom that. But if you think about it, if everybody stopped building fires, you really wouldn't know how to build a fire anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and people would be hosed when it came down to it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and that to me is what I do, what what I'm trying to share as I learn this stuff and share with everybody else so that we can keep it alive. And I'm doing the exact same thing with Taekwondo. It's really awesome. It's a really cool place to be.
Yeah, and I think all of that is important, getting people interested, getting people doing the stuff and the stuff that may be important. And especially, there's a lot of things that don't involve prepping where that applies too. But with prepping, there is a lot of things that the people that are not preppers really have no idea about all of this stuff. Like you were talking about with fire or, cooking without being able to turn on the stove, water, what is clean drinking water? People they'd be going to City Park thinking, well, it's clear, so I'm good to go, or it's only got a couple of little chunkies in it.
It's
so
water. It's okay. Yeah. I can drink it.
Because it always comes out of the faucet. It's always clean. It's always all fluoridated, whatever that word is.
And we forget, we just don't know. We've never been educated on it.
Right.
I wonder how many people you'd ask, what's a microbe? And they'd be like, a what?
I know. Actually, what's kind of funny? We just got our voters book for November, right? And it's like all these propositions, and it's going to be paid for with this bond and this bond and that bond and this bond. And we're going to do bond, 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 bond. I'm like, Brock, how many people do you think actually know what a bond is?
Right.
Do they know where that money even comes from? Is that explained in the beginning? Do they have a definition of bond?
The government have a definition of something? No.
Right? Yeah.
Just give us your money. Just give us your
money. Are they Googling it? Do people actually care enough to Google it and go, what the hell's a bond? Because I bet you a lot of them don't even know what it is. I'm not kidding.
Well, Sarah, I bet a lot of them don't even open up that voters book. They don't open that little... I don't know.
We read like the whole thing.
Yeah, I was reading ours the other day. It's a little blue book. Well, it's kind of like a short novel.
We get a novel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that we really didn't talk about with all this stuff is entertainment stuff. People from, all the way back to the cavemen. I don't know what they did for entertainment, probably threw rocks at each other or something.
Stories.
That was stories.
Painted on walls, right?
First episode of Dodgeball too, probably.
That could be. But even
back
the Greeks, they had the Colosseum where they basically killed each other. The plays, all of that stuff. We've had entertainment. We all need some way to kind of unwind, whether it's at the end of the day or whether it's at the end of a bunch of hard work. People, if you're in some sort of group like this, they're going to party. They're going to want to unwind and stuff like that. So you've got to make sure that happens in a constructive way, I guess, and not just totally chaos. But
we haven't reached the party scene in this book yet. We're still a few chapters ahead of that.
But you are going to need...
That was a really good part of the book, by the way. So if you're listening, you really need the book to understand.
Yep. Come in.
You will need like musicians and singers and people who can sing, people who think they can sing. This all goes for teachers too. People who play guitar or musical instrument can be the teachers, and people need a way to unwind. So if you can give them that, plays, actors, charades, stuff like that. All that, it seems kind of dumb and not important.
But it is important.
Yeah, that being able to unwind and let your brain just kind of shut off. Yeah. Kind of reset. All of that's pretty important. That's why we've been doing it forever throughout the millennia. Is people just like to turn off, basically.
That's why you got to have the Uno cards in your bug out bag or the playing cards.
Yep.
For sure, it's important.
Well, and then there you go with teaching again. Then you can teach people how to play different games with those deck of cards that you have.
I could probably make a guitar out of some rubber bands and a 2x4.
I'm sure you could.
Oh, I've seen it on America's Got Talent before.
Yeah. It'd be fun. It'd keep me busy for a while. You'd keep me out of here.
Man, I'd listen to the bucket guitar, that's for sure.
Yeah. Just
anything.
That worked out.
Yep. Anything. Well, guys, I've got to cut us off because we are getting to the point where I'm going to have to put together a really long show if we keep going. So
that's a fun show.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Why don't you guys go ahead, share your email, your web address one more time, and then also the one for the preparedness experience, and that it's important to get it out there.
Oh, I don't know. She's gonna make me spell experience.
Yeah.
The preparedness experience is www.thepreparednessexperience, ThePreparednessExperience. I used to spell with an A, but I'm smarter than that now.
You win the spelling bee, Dale.
Yeah.
Good job, Dale. Good job.
The easier way to do that is just send me an email at dale@survivalsprepper.net and say, what's that URL again?
And then
Yeah, well, what are you talking about, Dale?
Yeah. And my website, the main website, Lisa and I, survivalsprepper.net. You can go to survivalsprepper.net.com. You can find us there, or just Google it and we'll come up. But yeah.
Yeah, and if my audience hasn't heard it yet, we put together a really fun podcast not too long ago. So head on over there and check that out. So
that was fun because we were in person too.
All hanging out at the kitchen table.
Yeah. We even got Brock on there, so that's always a treat. Yeah. I was trying to get him today. I'm like, come on, babe. He's like, nope.
Nope, not happening.
Yeah,
Right.
I believe that was episode 273. If anybody's listening to this in the future and want to go check that out.
All right, perfect.
72, 73, somewhere in the 70s.
All right, thanks so much, Dale and Lisa, for coming on the show. Like I always say, any opportunity I get to sit down and visit and share some times with you guys, it's just awesome experience, and definitely blessed for having you guys in my life. I also want to take a moment to thank my Patreon members. As I mentioned in the intro, now is a great time to get on over there and become a Changing Earth contributor. Great bonuses. Plus, we're gonna try and make this book series go the full distance, and definitely have another really cool book planned for you. The story is just kind of launching even further at this point, which I didn't even think was possible, but just the corners that it's taking is just really, really cool. And so definitely head on over there and become a Changing Earth contributor. That's at www.patreon.com/Changing Earth, www.patreon.com/Changing Earth. Really, really appreciate all the assistance that you can provide. Finally, I want to take a moment to thank you for listening. You guys, I really, really cherish the opportunity to not only be able to share my stories with you, but be able to educate your mind on how you can be prepared. And one day, if that's what makes the difference between, your family surviving and thriving, then it was all worth it to me. Every bit of effort that I poured into it was all worth it. So I love hearing your stories, love hearing your feedback. Go ahead and get a hold of me via my website, or head on over to Facebook. Of course, you can always find me there. Keep providing me that feedback, because it's just great. I love to hear from you guys. So until next time, remember, dream, survive, thrive.
Thank you for joining Sara for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, and Dark Days in Denver at www.author.sarafhathaway.com. If you love Sara's books and this podcast, please head over to Amazon or iTunes and let everyone know by leaving a review.